So goodbye everybody. I'm very pleased to make you a presentation of Genymotion today. So my name is Daniel. I'm the CTO of Genymobile and also the father of this product, which began a few months, even 2 years ago, with an open source project firstly named Buildrid, then AndroVM, and then we have a product which is Genymotion that we launched in a beta version about a few months ago. So today I will explain you what is Genymotion, just in a few words, small presentation. But most of the time I'll make you a demonstration of the product, especially of the new features that we will release in just 2 days. Wednesday we'll release a version 2 of the product, and I will explain you what's new in the product. So first, I will have a question for you. How many Android developers in the room? Okay, and how many of you already have heard or even use Genymotion? Okay, so quite some of you. So that's a good thing. So basically Genymotion is developed to replace the stock Android emulator, which as you may know if you're an Android developer, is quite slow, has a lot of different problems. It's true that since last year, I think, Google released some x86 version of the emulator, as well as a GPU version, the version which used the hardware GPU of the system, which improved things a lot. But still, these 2 improvements don't work on some systems. And even with this performance, there was still room for some improvement. So that's why we wanted to do with Genymotion. So Genymotion is the fastest Android emulator. So we launched it about 4 months ago, in June at the last DroidCon in Paris. So in just 4 months, we have more than 375,000 users. As I will explain later, it's all free users because we don't have yet a business model around it, so it's only free users. And we have a very good feedback from all Android developers for both the performance, but also because it's easy to use, easy to install. And our goal is really to help the Android developers and companies to become more efficient and by saving time and money when they test their application, when they want to test their application in different Android versions, different screen resolutions, this type of thing. So what's Genymotion? So as I explained, we wanted to make it easy to install, easy to run. So that means that you only have one installer to install Genymotion. But as a virtualization product, in fact, Genymotion uses another product named VirtualBox, which you may know. And in fact, Genymotion runs Android virtual machines in a VirtualBox. So you need VirtualBox on your system. If you are a Windows user, we have a full installer which includes VirtualBox. But if you use a Mac or Linux system, because we support these 2 different operating systems. So if you use Mac or Linux, then you first have to install VirtualBox by yourself. And the thing that makes Genymotion really fast is first that it runs inside VirtualBox. It runs a native x86 code, so there are no ARM translation, ARM emulation, this type of thing that some versions of the Google emulator do. And the other thing is that it uses the GPU of your system for all the OpenGL rendering. So that means that graphic performance is very, very good because everything is done in hardware. And then we also wanted to make application development and application testing easier. And specific things of mobile applications is that they interact a lot with their environment. You have GPS, you have accelerometer, you have the light sensors, any type of sensor like this that obviously you don't have when you develop applications for PCs. So we wanted to emulate these different sensors and emulate, for example, the GPS, the battery, this type of thing. And that's what we began to do a few months ago. This week I will introduce some new sensors that we emulate, and our objective is really to make things easier and to help you test your application in different conditions. And the third important thing is that we also wanted the Genymotion tool to integrate perfectly in your development environment. So that means that you have developed Eclipse plugins. We also have developed some Android Studio plugins, which is now the new standard of Google for Android development. And so with these plugins, you can now directly launch, start, stop your virtual machine. You can even create your Genymotion virtual machine from your development. So that's, we know something very important for you. And now what's next, and what's new, and what will we introduce this week? So the first thing is that the 2.0 version of Genymotion will be released just in 2 days. It will be Wednesday. At the same time, we'll introduce our business model. So we'll have a paying version of Genymotion. So the important thing is that everything that we have released until now will remain free, and we will continue to add functions to the free versions. But the paying version will obviously have dedicated features that I will present you in the demonstration. So in fact, we'll have 3 versions. The free version, and then the indie and the business version. The indie version will be for individual, so people running their own business or working on their own, and the business version for companies. Second important thing is that this week we introduce new Android versions. Until now, we only had the 4.1 and 4.2 versions. We will release the 4.3 versions this week. We previously had a preview of the 4.3, but now it will be just in production. And we'll also release a preview version of an old version of Android, but it's long awaited by our users, is the Gingerbread version. So we'll release the 2.3 version for our emulator to help you test your application on this old version of Android, because it's not really easy for many developers to have old phones running these versions. And the third important point concerning Genymotion is that we've decided to make focus on automatic testing and integration testing. So last week we wrote a blog post about integration of Genymotion in Jenkins to help you use Genymotion for your continuous integration tests. And in the future, we'll add more versions, more functions, sorry, especially in the Genymotion Shell, which is a script shell which can help you do your automation test. But now let's go on the demonstration. It's the best thing to learn Genymotion and to understand how it works. So what I will first do is that I'll start Genymotion. And you see here on my window that you have a list of virtual devices. So I have a lot of different virtual devices here because I test a lot of things. And so basically this is the virtual devices that I have created from templates that have been downloaded from the Genymotion web server. So when I want to add a new virtual device, just click on Add. And if you already have used Genymotion, you perhaps see here that this virtual device creation wizard window has changed. In fact, we rearranged things. You especially can search for available virtual device template by Android version, by device model, because before that we only had a list of everything available, and it was quite difficult to look what we wanted to. So for example, I can choose Galaxy S4 running Android 4.2.2. This is the resolution. So we'll just click next. Okay, and then in fact, Genymotion will deploy the virtual machine into VirtualBox. So VirtualBox is used, but when you use Genymotion, you don't have to open VirtualBox to deploy virtual machine, etc. Genymotion do everything for you just automatically. And then you see that I have this new virtual machine that has been created. So I will use another one, which I have already created before. Before launching, you can see that I can change some parameters. I can change the screen size, which is obviously important if you want to test your application on different screen size and DPI. So we have a lot of different predefined screen size, which is a list of the most known screen size in Android. But you can also put your customized screen size if you have a very specific device, for example, with a different screen size. And two other things, you can also decide if you want to show the Android navigation bar. The Android navigation bar is usually used if your phone doesn't have a physical button, then you have this navigation bar. Another thing is that you can decide to have the virtual keyboard on the virtual machine. So it will be the virtual keyboard displayed by Android. Even if you can still type with your physical keyboard, it will help you see what's your application with a virtual keyboard. So now we start the virtual machine. So here again, in fact, it starts the VirtualBox virtual machine. And then we have the Genymotion player, which will connect to the VirtualBox, and we'll use OpenGL to do the running. And now you see that I can just play with my virtual machine, my Android. It's very fast and as fast as a physical device. For deploying the application, debugging, etc., we have standard tools. So we have the ADB connection. So that means that from your Eclipse environment, for example, you can deploy your APK, you can debug it, you have all your favorite tools that you can use with Genymotion. And so you see that on the right, on the window, we have different widgets here. For example, first one we have here is the battery. By default, the Android virtual machine will use the battery status and battery level from your host, from your PC. But you can input different numbers. For example, your application may behave differently if you have a low level in terms of battery. So for example, if I put only 12%, and then I say it's discharging, you'll see here that you have this Android pop-up saying that the battery is low. So the battery level has been injected by the player. And you can do exactly the same thing by using the Genymotion Shell, which is another tool I will just launch now. The Genymotion Shell is, oops, I have to launch it this way. Is the shell that we use to interact with the virtual machine. So for example, for the battery, we have, you see here, battery command line. I can set battery, set level. Don't remember what I did, but yes, and the battery then has leveled up to 100, and I don't have anymore the pop-up. We have the same thing for the GPS. So you can you can use fake GPS values, so you can either enter your latitude, longitude, altitude, accuracy, etc., or you can also, but it won't work here because we don't have a good internet access. You can search for some specific location using a map widget in the player, for example, in Paris, or this kind of thing, and it will find the Paris location and inject it into my Android device. So if you want to test your GPS application, your application which uses the GPS, it could be very useful to inject different GPS values. And the same thing, you can do the same thing by scripting. So you have all these set and get commands, set latitude, longitude, etc. And you can script things and have your fake position moving with your test. So everything that I show until now is in the free version. It was before, and we already released that. Same thing for the camera. Camera was released about a month ago. We can inject the camera in the system. So it can be either a dummy webcam, so you can see it here, I think. It's me, so yes, it's not in the good good rotation, but here I choose the webcam of my Mac, which is injected into Android. I can also choose a dummy webcam, so it's just my 2.0 moving in the window. So if your application needs a camera, you use a camera, you can use both the physical webcam or a dummy webcam. In the future, and it's part of what I said about automatic testing, you will also be able to inject video files and images into the camera. Obviously, it will be much easier for your automatic testing to inject directly some video. Yeah, and now I will introduce a new feature also, which we will release today, Wednesday. This feature will be also part of the free version. It's the capability to do drag and drop on the system. So in fact, you will be able to drag and drop your APK, your application directly, and when you drag and drop your APK, it will be deployed instantly into the virtual machine, and it will be run also. So if I find some APK here, where is it? Oh, no, it's not there. So it runs automatically the APK that I've pushed to the system. And you obviously know this game, and if you don't know Genymotion, it will show you the performance. And you will also be able to push other files. So if you push any other files, it will just be copied to your SD card. And if you push some zip file which contains a system subdirectory, it will be considered as an update. And so you will be able to push system files which are automatically deployed on your virtual machine. So everything inside the zip file, inside the system directory, will be written to your Android system, and it will be an easy way to use some system add-on. So I'm not very good at playing, but you see that it works. So now the two new other features will be in the paying version. So the first one is capability to do screenshot and screencast of your virtual machine. So it's very easy to set up. Just open the widget. For example, make a video, okay. Then I just test my application. I start it, etc. Oops, I clicked. and then I can find the file, and it's a Webcam video which has been automatically recorded. So you see that it's very easy to set up. You just have to click on video, and it's just make a video of your application and what you do in your virtual machine. So if you want to push your video in the Play Store, or push your video to your customers or anything, it's very easy to set up, and it works on the 3 operating systems that we support: Mac, Linux, and Windows. And then the last function that we'll introduce, it's a very interesting one. We call it a Genymotion remote control. In fact, one of the problems that we have when we do virtualization and when we have emulator is the difficulty to inject multitouch as well as some sensors. As for the GPS, the battery, etc., it's not very difficult to inject and to, from a user interface perspective, to choose some value and inject them. But for other sensors, like the accelerometer, for example, it doesn't make really sense to change the value. It's not very easy to change them. So what we decided to do is to use your Android phone to inject values and inject multitouch in your system. So what I need is just an Android phone running Android 2.2 or better. So this is a Nexus 5, so it's the last version of Android, but it also works on many other phones. So I have to plug it, because it uses the USB connection. And then choose this widget, remote control. It lists the available devices, run it, and when I click that there, it pushes an application, Genymotion remote control, on my Nexus phone, and you don't see it here, but I have the video, the exact display of my virtual machine on my phone, and then I can interact. I have multitouch. I have added the debug option to see where I put my finger, and you see that I can do some multitouch in it. And the same thing for the accelerometer. All the accelerometer value from the physical phone are injected in the virtual machine. So for example, if I start the browser, then if I make a rotation, the system see it and it's working. So, and once again, I can launch Angry Birds and play it. Oh, I won today. Yeah, and so you see that it's very convenient to test your application. And if you use multitouch, it's a very nice feature, because using multitouch and testing your multitouch application with just the emulator and just your mouse, it's not very easy. So that's it for the different functions of Genymotion. Just the last thing that I forgot is that you also have, for the rotation part, you also have, we'll close it, yeah. You also have the rotation button here, which does the same thing. Okay. So let's go back to the presentation. It's almost finished now. Oops, where is it? Okay. Okay, it doesn't want to. Okay. So that's it for the presentation and the new features of Genymotion. If you have questions, I will be happy to answer them. Yes?
You showed supporting screencast. Does it also support recording audio in screencast? And does it record audio from your phone, or do you support voiceover? Maybe you explain what you do.
Okay, so I'll repeat the question. So the question is, does the screencast also record the audio? So the answer is no, not yet. We are working on it. It will be implemented very soon. First, it will only record the audio from the virtual machine itself, and not from your microphone. Yes.
Are both the functions you showed in Inversion also? Or what's the difference between Indy and
Okay. So the question is both the version, both paying version, the screencast and the remote control in the paying version? The answer is yes. Both the Indy and business version have the same functions. The difference, I forgot to mention it, is mainly in terms of support. In fact, the business version has a support, and better support, because we have a guarantee in terms of response, whereas the Indy version has just best effort support. Any other questions? Yep.
You told us there is support for automated testing.
Yep.
Can you use the videos to generate automated testing? Or not?
Not the video. So the question is, can we use the video to generate automation testing? No, the answer is not. The video is usually just to make a video. And the main thing on which we will work to help you on automation testing is that today, as Genymotion use the GPU of your system, you need a GPU on your system. And many servers obviously don't have GPU, so Genymotion cannot run on many servers. So what we are working on is that Genymotion will be able to run in headless mode by using some software OpenGL instead of hardware OpenGL. It will be a little bit less performant, but it will be able to run on servers without GPUs. Yep.
Are devices extensible or mockable?
Are devices extendable?
Yeah, can I define new device types and plug them in?
Yeah. So the question is, can I create new device type? The answer is yes. In fact, in terms of device, when we say Galaxy S4, Galaxy Nexus, etc., it's mainly a matter of screen resolution, DPI, and the fact that it has a navigation bar or not. It doesn't have anything else specific to your devices. So that means that when we say that we have a Galaxy S4 virtual device, it doesn't run anything specific from Samsung. So that means that Genymotion is not done to debug specific problems with Galaxy S4 or this kind of thing. It's just here to help you see what's your application, how looks your application in different screen resolutions and DPI. Yep.
I'm sorry, I wasn't specific enough. I mean, could I add a light sensor device and have that be represented by Genymotion, or a thumb wheel, which may not be represented in your UI? Is the UI extensible so that I can have peripheral devices to my actual phone?
So the question is, can I add some new function, new sensor, this kind of thing? You can do it in the system because I forgot to mention it, but it's written here. Everything running inside the virtual machine is open source, so you can even rebuild your own virtual machine and run them into Genymotion. But the fact will be that as our UI is not yet perhaps extensible, you won't be able to manage these new functions from our UI. Yep.
First, I want to thank you for this awesome project. My question is, what would be the price?
So the pricing question about pricing will be so it will be a subscription model. So per user per year. So Indy version will be 100 euros a year, and business version 300 euros a year. And to help you test a new version, in fact, the new features, when we'll start the product, there will be a trial, a free. New version will be free until the 3rd of November. So you have 15 days where you can test the new functions. I think time's up. Thank you.